there are rumors circulating that Keith Thurman will defend his WBA welterweight world title on December 12th against Shawn Porter. But according to Shawn Porter's dad, Kenny Porter, the fight has not been signed. There have been no contracts or nothing like that. It's just at the talks stage at the moment. So we'll see what happens. But should the fight be scheduled and get signed and whatnot, who would you be picking to win this fight and why? Now, these guys are quite familiar with each other. They have sparred. And according to Spencer Fearon, who was present at least one of these sparring sessions, he said that Shawn Porter was not only getting the upper hand over Keith Thurman, but he was literally beating Keith Thurman up. Now, this did take place several years ago, it has to be said. It was before Keith Thurman was, well, Keith Thurman was originally supposed to fight Marcus Maidana, but Maidana pulled out of the fight. Okay, this was before Maidana fought Mayweather, maybe even before he fought, who was the guy he fought before Mayweather? Was it Soto Carras or was it Josecito Lopez? One of the two. But this was several years ago, either way. And maybe Keith Thurman has improved since then. Probably has. Has Shawn Porter improved since then? Probably has. So what's going to happen when they square up in the ring? And obviously a lot of stuff that happens in sparring is not always reflected in a fight when two guys put on the little gloves minus the headgear. So who knows what's going to happen. Also, I'm not sure if they fought in the amateurs. I don't think they did fight in the amateurs, but they did spar when they were younger as well, before they were professionals. They used to spar. I believe they used to spar in the amateurs as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So they have a history. There's a familiarity there. I think there's a mutual respect there, but the Porter family, Kenny and Shawn, seem very confident of beating Keith Thurman. They both seem very, very confident. Kenny Porter's been quite outspoken about it, and Shawn Porter has been quite outspoken about it as well. And there's a video online which you can go watch where Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman are actually face to face, and you can see they're very familiar with each other. They know each other well, and they kind of face off for the camera and stuff like that. And Shawn Porter's like, look, I know I can beat Keith. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what he's saying. He's like, I know I can beat Keith. He doesn't even seem worried about the fight. He believes he's well got the beating of the man. So drop your comments below, people. Let me know how you see this potential fight going. Do you think that Shawn Porter's swarming, aggressive style would be able to overcome Keith Thurman's power punching? And people have criticized Keith Thurman's punching power actually over his past few fights. Even people like Amir Khan have started to call him sometimes Thurman rather than one-time Thurman. I think it is fair to say that Keith Thurman's punching power is not up there with guys like Randall Bailey, for example, who is a legitimate one-punch knockout artist. Not as good an all-round fighter as someone like Keith Thurman, but in terms of punching power, he's serious. He always has been serious. Thurman don't have that kind of power, and I think it's probably fair to say he don't hit as hard as maybe a guy like Shane Mosley either. Shane Mosley got serious punching power too. But when you look at the welterweight division and you look at the guys who are punchers, most of them, when they step up to the very highest level, don't really get knockouts like that either. You look at Marcus Maidana. At the very highest level, Maidana ain't been knocking people out. He didn't knock Khan out. He didn't knock Kotelnik out. You know, he didn't knock Devon Alexander out. He obviously didn't knock Mayweather out. And that's a guy who's considered a big puncher. So I think you can put Keith Thurman in the same bracket as Maidana in terms of punching power. So he's still a big puncher, but the higher he goes up in levels, he's not going to be knocking people out. He's not a crazy all-time great type of power puncher, you know. And a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads that I mentioned Randall Bailey. I'm not saying Randall Bailey is a great fighter or anything like that, but just in terms of pure punching power, he's probably still the hardest puncher at 147 or 140. Guy's got serious power. That guy is incredible. If you see what he did to Mike Jones just with one punch, look what he did to his face. The guy's got tremendous punching power. And yeah. So drop your comments below, people. I know I'm rambling on a little bit here. I apologize for that. But basically, I just want to know from you guys how you see a Keith Thurman Shawn Porter fight going. Do you think Keith Thurman's got the skills to be able to outbox the shorter Shawn Porter? Can he do a similar job to what Kell Brook did on Shawn Porter, which is probably going to involve a lot of holding and stuff like that? Can he do a similar job? Will he get penalized for doing what Kell Brook did? Because Kell Brook did do a lot of holding. Let's not get it twisted. He did do a lot of holding, and it was borderline excessive. It really was borderline. He was very, very close to just straight up being a Klitschko clone in that fight in terms of the amount of holding he was doing. Although it wasn't as gratuitous as Klitschko's holding in terms of leaning down and pushing, throwing the guy all over the place like it's wrestling. He weren't doing that. He was a lot more subtle about it than a Klitschko, but still, he was really, really pushing the boundaries about, you know, in terms of what's acceptable as far as holding goes, as far as clinching and boxing. He was really, really pushing the boundaries. And then a lot of other referees wouldn't have allowed him to get away with as much holding as he did in that fight. Will Keith Thurman be allowed to get away with similar? And whether or not he can beat Shawn Porter may hinge on something like that. The ability to clinch in a fight, sometimes, particularly in a competitive fight, can be the difference between winning and losing. So, yeah. Drop your comments below, people. Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out.